Hello and welcome to the last episode of the podcast. What I first want to get into is the 2020 presidential election. And we'll start with night two, and I'm an Andrew Yang supporter. I like his freedom dividend. I think it's great for people that want to take a risk and start their own business and become an entrepreneur. So that's why I think the freedom dividend of $1,000 a month is a great policy idea, and that's why I support Andrew Yang. And I think he did okay in the debate. He probably had the lowest amount of on-screen time during the debate. I think in total, he answered like 3 questions and then he had a final closing statement. Probably totaled about 4 minutes. And the problem was that he was playing by the rules. I think he was the only one on the stage that was playing by the rules and he was being too nice, and everyone else was just breaking the rules. So, when they told him like, you can only say 1 or 2 words, Andrew Yang would stick to that better than anyone else. And the other politicians on the stage would just go on and on forever, and they'd have to be cut off like 20 times before they would stop, and people were like interrupting each other and cutting people off. So I think next debate, I think Andrew Yang's got to be a little bit more on the attack and kind of realize that the rules are kind of just rough guidelines for these debates, and he needs to really just get his policy ideas out, because I think his policy ideas are really great and people need to hear him. And I think he's actually really the best when people start to question his ideas, because that's when his debating skills really come out. But yeah, he didn't really get much to say in the debate, but I don't really know how effective these debates are going to be for the poll numbers. I'm talking about the mainstream the mainstream debates, because I feel like more people watch things online nowadays, and maybe the mainstream debates, they don't even really hold that much weight. I guess we'll see in a couple of days or in a week or so when the new polls come out to see if they actually had a real result, or if it's just kind of like total BS at this point and mainstream media is totally dead. But anyways, who I think did the best is actually Kamala Harris. She was on the attack against other people, and I thought she actually did pretty well. Even though I don't really like her policy ideas that much, just from a debate standpoint, I thought she really stood out, and she had some strong kind of emotional stories that she told that connected well. Bernie did okay, Biden did okay. There was a lot of people attacking Biden, actually. Bernie started out kind of with okay answers, but then I thought he got better with his answers and kind of had a more positive spin of what his policy ideas were. And then there was some of the candidates polling at 0%, like Eric Swalwell, who kind of came out of nowhere. I honestly never heard him speak before ever until the debate, but he was actually on the attack, and he actually kind of made things entertaining, I thought. He was attacking Biden a lot, and he was just, to me, he kind of represented what was an internet comment section. He was just kind of just on the attack for kind of superficial things, but also some kind of deeper cutting things. And he kept saying oh, this is our generation, I guess a younger generation. And then there was some other candidates that I don't even really remember their names, but they were polling at 0%, and I think they did okay, but I don't know if it's enough to increase their polls. I think maybe Kamala Harris' poll is going to go up a little bit, if anyone's polls are going to go up, but Buttigieg, whatever his name is, I think he did okay. He had some good answers. He's actually a pretty good speaker, but he doesn't have a ton of specific policy ideas. I also thought the crowd was weren't the tickets for, if you went to both the debate nights, I think the tickets were $4,500. So it's who is gonna afford that? What regular person's gonna afford that? So I think they were just special interest groups, because you could tell they were cheering a lot for Biden and even Buttigieg. Just kind of the mainstream candidates, they were getting a lot of audience applause because of the the special donors and the corporate kind of lobbyists were in the audience. So that, and then when people Yang or even Bernie would lay out one of their policy points, there would be almost no applause. So it's okay, they had the audience kind of rigged as well. And I thought the questions honestly could have been way better, because a lot of times the questions were they just dragged on forever, and it's you don't even know what the question is by the time they finished. And the candidates, you could even see them, I don't know if the monitors they had for the candidates were just really low, but even they were leaning in sometimes, they couldn't really hear them, or they didn't really understand what the question was. Yeah, I feel the questions could have been a lot more concise and a lot better. They didn't really talk about the economy that much. They didn't really talk about Trump that much, which I think is actually okay. They should focus more about their policies. But yeah, they didn't talk about the economy that much. They talked a lot about like immigration. What else did they talk about? They didn't talk about like, I think it would have been cool if they like asked them questions about like the Space Force and like going to Mars and stuff. Like I think that would have been cool to hear, just kind of more interesting, like forward looking ideas instead of like negative kind of, past looking ideas. I think it would have been cool for them to ask a little bit more interesting questions like that. But yeah, so that was pretty much it for night two. Started out slow, but did get pretty interesting. There's some good like back and forth, I'm sure, highlight clips that can be, that can come out of it. Yeah, for night one, I didn't end up watching the whole thing. I think I watched like the first hour or so. There was some good back and forth, but it was pretty milk toast as well, I would say. I don't even remember. I mean, it was like, what was it, yesterday? I don't even really remember any key moment from it. I think Tulsi Gabbard did pretty well. I saw that like she was like the most searched after the debate happened, and she had a good back and forth with one of the other candidates. Elizabeth Warren, I think, just did okay. She didn't do like bad, but she didn't do great. The whole speak in Spanish thing, I didn't really find it that interesting. It's like, hey, like we have a limited time. It feels like most people watching this don't speak Spanish, so, but I don't know. It's some weird political science calculation I guess they made, and maybe it played for some people that speak Spanish. For those that don't speak Spanish, watching that, it just felt like a waste of time, and was just kind of like, really didn't. It was just a way to avoid a question they didn't want to answer. That's the way I took it, at least. But yeah, I guess the next debate is in September, so 3 months from now. And I think the rules set right now are that you have to be polling nationally at 3 to 4% to make it in. So I think like more than half of the people are going to drop out before then. And as far as Andrew Yang goes, I think he's polling between 1 and 3%. So he could definitely move up. Like if he goes on big shows, like he's great in long form content. Like the Joe Rogan podcast or the Breakfast Club. He's great on things like that, but he's already done those shows that maybe he'll go back on, I don't know, to boost again. In the short form kind of content where it's like you have 30 seconds to speak on something, and they didn't even ask him, they asked him like 3 questions. I mean, so he didn't get that much opportunities. I think if he makes it, I think he has a pretty good shot at making it. 3 months from now, anything can happen. I think if he makes it to those debates, it'll only go up for him from here, because there won't be 10 candidates on the stage, which is kind of a crazy format to begin with. That Andrew Yang will actually get more time to talk, and people, he's actually great when people question his ideas, because he's got about 30 reasons to explain why his idea is the right way to go if you do start attacking him. So I think that he'll actually do better with a smaller amount of people on the stage, because he'll get more time to talk about his ideas. Because at the end of the day, like $1,000 a month cash, especially if like how a lot of people are predicting, like Peter Schiff's predicting, some other people are predicting that we're basically gonna hit a recession before the election in 2020. So something like $1,000 a month while the economy is bad, I think that would play amazingly well for the election, for the 2020 presidential election for Yang. But yeah, anything could happen. I'm definitely excited to see what happens next with it. So I do have a couple of different channels, including this one, and I've been trying out some other platforms besides YouTube, and I found it kind of interesting that basically for most of the channels that I've started on Bitchute, I'm growing 3 to 4 times faster than on YouTube. So it's like, okay, so I guess YouTube is just, I guess they're just censoring more content, or maybe there's just some artificial barrier they've added. But it's like for every channel that I'm uploading both on YouTube and on Bitchute, I'm growing way faster on Bitchute. And there's a thing on Bitchute, like it's such a small platform, it's probably less than 1% the audience size of YouTube, but like you actually, when you upload, you get to go to their front page, for maybe 15 minutes to like 45 minutes, like you're at the top of their front page, just because they don't have a ton of content being uploaded every hour. So you do get more exposure that way, because like that'd be insane if like every video you uploaded, you got to the front page of YouTube, or like the trending page of YouTube for every video you uploaded. So Bitchute's definitely in like its early stages, even though like a lot of people are moving to the platform. That's kind of the cool thing too. Like you don't even have to pick, like just why not upload to both YouTube and Bitchute. So I was trying that. I also tried out DTube. DTube's kind of cool, but it's still in beta phase, and they just did like a reset, like a 0.9 update, and they basically got rid of like everyone's subscribers, because they're like, okay, like we're starting over with new rules. So that was like a little weird. But I guess, they're still in beta phase. So they're, the next upgrade, they're at 0.9 right now. So theoretically they should go up to 1.0, and then things should be real from there on out. But it's still in early stages for DTube as well. And I also heard there's like Bitchute, but I haven't really checked that out. And Library, haven't checked that out either. But like even for this podcast, I put it out like on, iTunes and Spotify even, and growing faster on those as well. Or at least from the RSS feed standpoint, I have way more subscribers on those than on like YouTube right now. But it's just kind of fascinating. It's like once you realize, if anyone else is like makes content as well, like once you realize like, oh, one piece of content can go up on like 5 platforms, so it's like instead of having one stream of revenue and audience from YouTube, why not have one piece of content have 5 streams of revenue and 5 audience groups? And once I realized that, it's like, whoa, like it's kind of powerful, because it's like the whole censorship thing going on with YouTube right now. It's kind of crazy, like how the Project Veritas stuff came out, proving that there are some activists at Google that are just trying to use the platform of YouTube and Google to get people not to vote for Trump, which is kind of crazy that like there's actually proof now. Like there's email proof, there's video proof, it's overwhelming proof right now. And I think that's going to lead to them getting censored or getting regulated by Congress to like not censor anyone. But anyway, we'll see what happens with that. It's super fascinating how like everything is so interconnected. And then there's Trump at the G20 summit, and like everyone that's like talking about the economy and looking at this, invest in the stock market, hoping that like good things happen, and that like the trade war with China gets resolved. But who knows if that's going to get resolved. I don't really think it'll get resolved, but anything could happen with Trump. And anyways, I think that's pretty much it for this podcast. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more content like this. Thanks for watching. Bye.